Hi everyone, here we are, ready for another card for Christmas in July. Today I have a card that I saw Sam Colcott make a couple weeks ago. It's called a puzzle card, and it is so fun. When I saw it, I immediately thought of this Gina K set. And what you do is when you give it to the recipient, you mix it up like this. And then as they turn it, they solve the puzzle and they get the picture that's in the front. How much fun is that? So we're going to make one of these, but we're going to make it a little different because after I made this one, I'm going to go about it a little bit different. So let me get the camera turned around and I'm going to show you how to do this as a 5x7 and as an A2. All right, so let's look at this one more time. This is the original I did after seeing Sam's video. And after making one, I learned several things about this card. So we're going to go about it a little bit different than this. The first thing I decided is I'm going to do it as a plain circle. Here it is. So here's one I did where it was a plain circle, and I would say it was a lot easier. I also used lighter weight paper. This is, I think it's 85 weight. You don't want anything too heavy because then this gets too bumpy because you are going to put two layers together. So definitely we're going to do it that way. And this works as an A2. The only thing you would have to do is you would have to make your centerpiece smaller. When I made this one is 4.5 across. So if you wanted an A2, your biggest one could be 3.5 inches across. And what I did here is I got nesting circles, and this one is 4.5, this one's 3.5, this one's 2.5, this one's 1.5. And the inch difference gave you a ½ inch on each side, and that seemed to be a good distance between. So you could stamp it, you could color it, and you can kind of see what you were doing here. So you definitely are going to want nesting dies that are an inch difference. All right, so let's bring in what I have here so far. So I have a 5x7 card base. Then I cut a piece of paper, printed paper, that is 5x7. And I do want this whole space here because by the time you put the puzzle on there, you are going to take up a lot of space. So I didn't want to have any kind of frame or empty space around there. So then what you have to do, let me move these here because this is for the inside and for the message on the bottom. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut out each size that you're going to use. So this is 4.5, 3.5, 2.5, and 1.5. So you're going to cut out your circles. You're then going to take your nesting dies, and if these were your two nesting dies you used, you're going to put those together to cut out a frame, which is then going to fit on here. And you're going to do that for each of the sizes. You're going to go with this size, the next size down you're going to use, make a frame, and you're going to glue it on there. So we're going to take the next one. You're going to take the die you use for the smallest circle to put them together to make a frame. And then we're going to end up with 3 pieces like this, and then the solid middle is what we're going to end up doing. And then these will be stacked together, and we're going to color them. And we will need the solid. Now, to get it lined up in the middle, for the first one, I eyeballed it, and it wasn't exactly close. And if you're using a nesting die that is not an even number, like I was able to make them 4.5, 3.5, 2.5, 1.5. But if you have something that's like, 1.25, well, now you have to find the middle. So I would suggest take your biggest nesting die you're going to use. Cut an extra one out. Then take it and fold it in 4ths. And that will find you the center. So then, when we stack everything up, we can use that to find the center. So cut yourself out an extra one of these. This piece here is just slightly bigger than this one, so it's like one size up. And that way I can just give it a little bit of a frame. The rest of these pieces here, this I'm going to use for the inside message, and this I'm going to put this on the front underneath the puzzle like this. And I'm going to stamp Merry Christmas from the set. So let me bring in the set. So this set that I thought of as soon as I saw this puzzle was from Gina K, and it's called Silly Season. Oh, A Very Silly Season. And this is kind of funny. So it has an ugly Christmas sweater. It has a gnome. It has a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. It has some stockings. But then it has the funniest sayings. Like this one is the one I'm going to use on the inside of the card. It reads, Christmas, the only time of year where you can happily sit in front of a dead tree and eat candy out of a sock. It's kind of funny, but it goes with this being a puzzle. So this one says it's beginning to cost a lot like Christmas. Now we don our ugly sweaters. La 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 la. This one says, may your family be blessed and may all your batteries be included. And then this one says, Merry Christmas. May your joys be many and your bills be few. So it is kind of, a little tongue-in-cheek. It's kind of funny, but I think it matches well with this puzzle. So that's what we're going to use for this. And also I have this other set from Gina, which I've used for other things. And it says, Make It Move Mini. And this is the one that has the push, the pull, it has the arrow. So I'm going to put an arrow up in the corner. So, I think it's going to be obvious that they need to turn it. But I am going to put a little arrow up here so they will turn it. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so let's get started. So we're going to start with the circles. So I have a sticky mat. And I'm going to take the biggest frame that we cut. Because remember, we took our biggest circle and then the next one down, made a frame. And then I'm going to put this one inside. Then this one. And then this one will be in the middle. I'm going to use the one with the hole in it. Now the one in the middle, you have a choice. You can either not put it on another piece, but then these two pieces would be the same. But when you layer it, each one sticks out just a little bit. And so if you want it to keep going, just sticking out just a little bit, then you would go ahead and put another piece under here. And that's what I'm going to do. But you absolutely can leave that piece off. So these are the pieces we're going to glue on. So remember, we went 4.5, 3.5, 2.5, 1.5. And now we're going to stamp our picture. So we're going to take our gnome. Now I will tell you that if you're going to make it smaller to be on an A2 card, your sentiment is not going to fit. The gnome will fit, the tree will fit, so you're going to have to put the sentiment underneath it. But if you make a 5x7, the sentiment fits. And I'm going to use the one that says, there's no place like home for the holidays, is what I'm going to put on there. And I need the tree. So the tree will be here. The gnome will be here. And I'm going to put this on the wonk. And now with it being cut, you can kind of decide where you want your lettering. If you want the lettering to go through where it's cut or not. Because when Sam Colcott made hers, she colored hers and then cut it. But I would be afraid that I wouldn't cut it completely straight and then you have to start all over again. Alright, so I'm going to put the whole sticky mat in here. And I'm going to pick that up. First, let me move all these pieces out of the way. I'm going to use my black ink since we're coloring. I did not stamp the little stars. So let me just go ahead and stamp these really quick. Alright, so now we can color it in. Okay, I'm going to start with the pot. The pot I'm going to color W3. And then I'm going to put W1 on the inside. Okay, I'm going to use Y28, which is a pretty gold color, on the stars. I think I'll make the ornament red. I'm also going to make, let's see, we're going to give him a red hat. Let's see, we'll give him green. Green G29. And I think I'm going to use the W1 for the envelope. Now for his skin, I have E00. I think that's what I want to use. So he has a nose here, and then a tiny little bit over here, and a tiny little bit over here. So I'm going to take the C0 and just give him a little shadow here under his nose. So I think I'm going to put gold for the heart on the envelope. All right, now he needs some ground. So I'm going to take my 0.8 art liner here, and I'm going to decide where I want the ground to be. I think about here. So we're going to draw a line, not a straight line. We're going to go across. So underneath here, I'm going to use my Spectra Noir Moonlit Silver glitter pen. Give that a good shake. Test it. And I'm going to put some squiggly lines. Give the snow some shimmer. So now I'm going to take C1. And I'm going to put a shadow under the pot, under the gnome, like that. And maybe even just follow the squiggles. Follow the line on the top, just to make it look a little bit more like snow. Maybe put a little C0 in there. Now over the whole thing, I am going to take my glitter pen I am going to put glitter all over the snow. I'm going to do the stars and the bulb, the ornament. There we go. And maybe the heart. It's Christmas. You can't have too much glitter. All right, so now we need to do the sky. So this is, I'm thinking, going to be a little bit more at nighttime. So I'm just going to use the powder blue and not use sea glass this time. So I'm going to use a smaller brush. And I'm just going to go around. And the first one I did use more of the sea glass. And then this one I went lighter on the powdered blue. I think I like it a little bit darker. All right, so now these pieces come off. We're going to take our solid circles and we're going to glue them on. Doesn't matter which one we start with. And what's easier with the plain circles is that you don't have to line up any edges. The scalloped edge looked cool, but it was a lot harder to get all those circles all lined up. Where it's a plain circle, just kind of touch the edges and it's lined up. So that makes it a lot easier. So for the ones that have the hole in them, and remember these were made with nesting dies that were an inch difference. Now, if you have the ability to cut an SVG, I have all this laid out an inch apart, the plain circles with the hole cut in the middle. So you are more than welcome to download that. Or even if you don't have even circles and you want to cut it out as a template and use that, you're more than welcome to. So now this will fit in here. That will look like that. Oh, this is going to be so cute. When I saw Sam Colcott make this puzzle, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to make some of those. And she said she had seen somebody else make one, and I have seen a couple other videos pop up on YouTube now that have the puzzle. So you may see other people doing this, but this is just really fun, and I just thought this was the perfect set for silly season. So that goes on here. So now we have our big one. So this was cut with the 4.5 die and the 3.5 die. And see, this is where it's easier with the big one to get it all straight when you don't have the scalloped edge. It's just a lot easier to do it this way. Just want to make sure all your edges are nice and straight. All right. Now it is time to attach it together. So we're simply going to put this one in here. That will go in there. This one will go in here. This one will go in here, like this. Now, when you want to make your hole, I have a hole here already. So this is the piece, the biggest one. This is the same size as your biggest die that I folded in fourths. So now, this is my center. So what I'm going to do to find the center is I will stack these on top of each other, and I'm going to grab my brad. So here's my brad. So I'm going to hold these together. Actually, I'm going to take my pokey tool, and I'm going to poke a hole in the center of this first, all the way through. I'm going to make a decent size hole. There we go. So now I will hold my good piece that I'm using and my template up to each other. I will poke a hole in there, and now I know that's going to be in the center. Okay. So now I can take the rest of these and put these in. Make sure those are all straight where I want them. Flip it over. I'll lay it down so I don't poke my finger and poke a hole. Now I have a hole. All right. Wait, we don't need that anymore. All right, so let's get these lined up again. And there we go. And that will spin. How fun is that? Okay, stop playing with the puzzle. Let's put it together so we can finish it. There we go. Now with this, it's going to get glued down to here. And this whole thing can get glued down because the bottom, the biggest circle is not going to move. So we'll just put this in the frame. Make sure that's even. All right, that is even. Now we'll bring in our 5x7 piece. So this is going to be here. So now I have a piece that is 3 5/8 by 7/8, and I have a 3.5 by 3/4. So what I'm going to do on here, let me get my stamping platform back again. So I need to stamp this before I glue that down. So I'm going to stamp on this. And I'm also going to stamp on this piece that is 3 by 2 1/4, because this is going to go with the 3 1/8 by 2 3/8. I'm going to put this on the inside. All right, so here I'm going to stamp the Merry Christmas and the one about the dead tree. I just think that's kind of funny when you have the Charlie Brown Christmas tree on the front. So that will be in the center, and this will be in the center. There we go. Right. Black ink again. All right. I don't like the way that came out. Let me cut another piece of paper. All right, now let's get this all glued together. Oh, and I have smeared this. All right, I have washed my hands and re-stamped these. Hopefully none more ink will come off. All right, so we have Merry Christmas, and we have Christmas, the only time of year you can happily sit in front of a dead tree and eat candy out of a sock. All right, so now we're going to glue the Merry Christmas onto the 3 5/8 by 7/8. All right, so we have this. So we have a 3 5/8 by 7/8. So this is 3/4 by 3.5, the white one. Right, we will put this down. All right. Now this one is 3 1/8 by 2 3/8. This is going to go on here. But what I want to do with this, so I'm going to open up the card. This is going to be inside. I also have this other strip, which is 5 by 3/4. And this was left from cutting this paper. So I just cut 5 by 3/4, and I'm thinking I want to put it like this. Not sure if I want it this way, where it comes out, or if I want to put it behind. I kind of like it coming through the middle. Yeah, I like it coming through the middle. All right, so I'm going to glue this. And I'm going to put some glue down here. I'm going to put this here. Put this over the top. Glue, more glue. All right. Now I'm going to glue this down in here. I'm going to spread this glue out because it came out kind of thick. I'm not putting any more glue on. I'm just kind of, well, up there I am. But the rest of this, I'm just trying to spread it out a little bit. Now this will go in here for the inside of my card. And it's always nice if you can take something from the outside of the card and put it on the inside. Be it a strip, be it a stamp. I mean, maybe even the little star might be cute over here in the corner. All right, so now I have my Merry Christmas. I may put this up on foam. Let me take the 5x7 of the print paper. And this is not directional, so this just goes on the front. You know, I like this glue, but it's a little thick, and sometimes I really have to kind of press on it to get it to spread out. Contemplating getting a brayer just so I can spread it out. All right, so this, make sure we're all nice and straight here. Okay, we'll go here. And this will come down here. I think I am going to put that on foam. I think I'm going to use the 1/16 foam. So that will come down here. All right, this will get glued on here. I want to make sure this is on straight. Let's look at the ground. That will be here. Press down. Trying not to get my gluey fingers on here. Peel this off. Merry Christmas will come down here. So I want to match this to this here. That's right. So now I have my arrow. Trying to decide if it needs an arrow or is it self-explanatory. If we hand someone this card, I think they'll figure out that they have to turn it. Maybe it doesn't need an arrow. Maybe not. All right, then I think we will leave it the way it is. This just needs to dry. Put something heavy on there and let that dry flat. All right, so there it is. All right, so let me get the camera turned around. All right, so let's recap what we did. So we have a 5x7 where the mat goes side to side, 5 to 7. And we have a 4.5, 3.5, 2.5, and 1.5 inch circles. And we cut them by going the 4.5 and then cutting the frame by the 3.5 circle and going down. Now this is the A2 size where we went 3.5, 2.5, 1.5 to make the puzzle. So it fits on there fine. The only difference is there's no place like home wouldn't fit on the puzzle, so it had to go on underneath. So there's no Merry Christmas. But you can put the same saying on the inside, like that. It would fit. It would. I haven't put it in there yet, but it would absolutely fit. So yeah, so A2 start at 3.5 and go down. 5x7 start at 4.5 and go down. And of course, it will fit on a square card also. So you have lots of choices. And remember, take whatever your biggest circle is, cut yourself out an extra one, fold it in fourths to find the center. And then just poke a little hole in it with your pokey tool. And that way you'll be able to find the centers without having to measure it. Because a lot of nesting dies aren't even numbers. You know, they come up with, you know, and then trying to divide that in half and try to find the center is a little hard. So just take the circle, fold it in fourths, make your life a lot easier. So I hope you enjoyed this. Give me a like. And if you want to see the other ones, I know there's only one more card left before Christmas in July is over. Give me subscribe if you want to see other videos that I'm making, because after Christmas in July is over, I will still be making videos. And until next time, stay crafty.